Hello, you guys, and thank y'all for tuning in to this week's episode of the Journey Podcast, where I am your host, Kiera. Happy Sunday to you all. I hope that you guys have had an amazing week. I myself have had a long week, but I definitely have been finding peace in knowing that God is still good, and He is still faithful. We're going to go ahead and jump into this week's episode. First, I wanted to start off with just a little recap. I hope that you guys were able to tune in to Thursday's episode, because it was really good, guys. We just moved past, the realizing that, we wanted more for ourselves, and we started working on an action plan. So if you haven't been able to catch up on the last couple of episodes, please do so that the episodes moving forward make sense, because it's just kind of like going down a timeline for real. Excuse me. Ooh. Yeah, so today, Thursday, we talked about creating an action plan and starting to make those steps towards that next level, or whatever the case may be, whatever you would like to call it. But overall, we talked about creating an action plan and actually putting things in place where we're capable of moving forward, and we're capable of getting to that next level. And so along the way, as you are starting to put this action plan into play, anytime the enemy sees you on the move, doing what he knows that you're capable of, there are things that come up that trigger you to revert to your old self, revert to your old ways, revert to those old habits, and just kind of pull those things back up, dig them up out of the dirt as you were, trying to bury them and put them to rest, for sure. And so as you start making those steps, and those little baby steps turn into strides, now things are coming up to show you, where people are either people trying to remind you that you're not who you're still who you were. People trying to tell you that you're not who God calls you to be. People that's where they say, oh, she thinks she all that, she thinks she better than that, she don't remember she used to, or he don't remember he used to, this is what he used to do, this is how he used to talk, this is how he used to get down, he used to hang out with these people, or she used to hang out with these people, defining you and identifying you as your old ways, when in your mind and in your heart you've been renewed, you've been made new. And so here you are, experiencing triggers. What is a trigger? Of course, I'm going to read you guys the definition first. A trigger is anything, a sight, sound, smell, memory, or situation that causes a strong, sudden emotional or physical reaction, often linked to past trauma, and makes someone feel like they're reliving the experience, leading to intense feelings like panic, fear, or overwhelm far beyond normal discomfort. These can be external, and vary by individual, and are key in conditions like PTSD, causing flashbacks or intense distress. For me, my definition of a trigger is something that causes you to release whatever is inside. And that's my definition, because when I think of a trigger, I think about pulling the trigger of a gun. So you have a firearm in your hand, and when you pull the trigger, whatever that initiates, whatever is inside, which is some kind of ammunition, to come out. A lot of times, the ammunition inside of us, it's that anger that we've had. It's that resentment. It's that fear of abandonment. It's all those things. Um, it's all those things. It's that imposter syndrome. What triggered me to have imposter syndrome? Um, why would that when I'm like put on the spot, that triggers me to like, oh, they want me to talk. They think I'm worth talking. They think I'm worthy of the spotlight right now. Um, what's another trigger? I like to, you guys know I like to put things into perspective, so that it's relatable for you all. Um, Sometimes I would smell a certain thing and it would make me think of a time where my family was together, as far as like my mom and my dad being together when I was little. And so I would smell the smell that and I don't know, I don't remember if it was a perfume that my mom used to wear when I was little or what, but it would just remind me of that togetherness. And I almost, at first, I used to love to smell it, and then um, it started to make me sad, or like where I was depressed. When I would smell it, I would be depressed, and it would take me back to a time where, when we were all together, and I missed that at one point in my life, and I loved that, and so it opened up the door. It triggered depression. So, um, guys, sometimes um as we're moving forward, there are going to be things and there are going to be people and there are going to be places, cuz don't limit it to just people. Sometimes being in a certain place can trigger old behaviors. um I know a guy on and he was on social media. Well, I don't know him personally, but um he said uh he lived in a nice neighborhood, and he said, I'm glad I'm not how I used to be, because everybody comes outside and they crank up their cars and warm their cars. He said the old me, he said that put him in remembrance of when he used to go into nice neighborhoods because he couldn't afford to live in one, and it triggered his thought to steal a car. He said had he had been in his old neighborhood, he would have just jumped into somebody's car and gone. And so sometimes your environment has to change. Mm. Sometimes your environment has to change so you're not triggered. Sometimes your friend group might have to change so you're not triggered to act out those old behaviors. Does that mean that you think that you're better than the people that you used to be around? No, that just means that you have had a moment of self-awareness, where you are realizing what triggers you to be that version of yourself that you no longer want to be. And guys, I'm looking at my notes as I'm talking because I'm prepared. Look at me. um so triggers usually connect to unhealed wounds, or like some kind of past trauma or some kind of feeling that you might have experienced, and sometimes those feelings caused discomfort. And so when I'm talking about the triggers that I'm talking about are triggers um that bring forth an unhealthy reaction. Because like I said, with a gun, when you pull the trigger, whatever is inside is going to come out. And so it's a matter of healing those things that cause that trauma, that cause those things to become a trigger, that initiated the trigger. And so we're, like I said, sometimes we're loaded with that feeling from abandonment, that would, when just a sign of just a sign of abandonment, where somebody in some the person may have not, their intentions aren't to put you through that feeling or make you feel abandoned, but maybe they're exhibiting a behavior that the person that abandoned you made you feel, and so it puts you in remembrance and you react based off of something that they did. And this is why, guys, it's good when you are forming any type of relationship with somebody, bond with somebody, or anything of that nature, that you're open and honest with them about your past. You're open and honest with them about the traumas that you've experienced so that they can understand you and they can handle you accordingly. Or they can decide whether they want to handle you at all. Because some people aren't, um, everybody is not a healer. And so when you get when you mix yourself with somebody that is not in a place to handle the trauma that you come with, and not to say that everybody has traumas, but when they don't understand because you haven't told them, what you've been through. Hey, and sometimes we encounter people that we tell them what we've been through and they weaponize it. They use it as a weapon against us, and those people are not your people. Somebody that loves you, they're gonna talk you through it and walk you through it, and you're gonna be able to be vulnerable with them without it being used against you. Sometimes you can tell somebody everything that you've been through and they'll say, "Oh, okay. That's what the kind of stuff that you put up. You said you was in that relationship for how long? You said you said 10 years? Oh, okay. Okay. So I see what I can do with you." And so discernment is important. Because you don't want to just go around telling everybody, "Hey, I put up with this guy cheating on me, beating on me, and so forth and so on for 9 years, and yeah, I just decided now the cycle repeats itself because I know that you're vulnerable. I know that and so discernment is so important. But I just pray. One thing that I do, I always pray that God puts me in relationships with people, like friendships and stuff like that with people. And I prayed this before getting married. I pray that God puts me in relationships with people that mean me well, that love me genuinely, are capable of um understanding, because at one point I think I kind of might have been hard to understand, and that's because I was afraid to tell people, like, "Oh, well, this is what I've been through in a previous relationship," or "This is what this is what has happened in my life. This is what I've gone through." And so I just, I didn't know how to express my feelings. I didn't know how to tell people. I didn't know how to be vulnerable with people, let's say that. And so as I was learning to be vulnerable with people at first, I was just like scared to like, yeah, I'm not telling you nothing because you ain't about to do that to me. You ain't about to drag me. I done been dragged enough. That's enough. It's enough. Okay. And so, um, I have a question. Like, have you ever reacted so strongly to something and later asked yourself, like, well, later told yourself, "Nah, I did not have to act like that." Or like, why did that bother me so much? Because sometimes it's something so small that initiates the trigger, and it's like, dang, I didn't even have to act like that. I didn't have to. I didn't have to act like that. So, as we're talking about triggers, it's like when you look at those things or those moments where little small things happen and you just kind of went off, like, and everybody looking at you like, "You good?" The whole time you're like, "Oh, my bad, y'all." Because, like, I didn't even have to act like that. But when you're triggered and you're unhealed, you just, you slip up. Sometimes you have those moments. And so, first things first, like I said, every journey starts with healing. Um, when you heal from that abandonment, when you heal from that whatever it is that you have to heal from. Somebody can try to trigger you all they want. They can try to bring that old you out all they want. But guess what, baby? I'm healed. That ain't me no more. I don't act like that. Some people, you got those family members. You got that go-to family member. You know it's gonna go off if you tell them that, or that friend that. I have a friend. If I called her right now, I don't. If I called her right now and told her, girl, they was talking about me so bad, she'd be like, who? She'd be ready to go. She will be ready to go. When I say ready to go, ready to go. Like the trigger. The trigger is hearing that somebody made somebody that she loved uncomfortable. Somebody, and that's the trigger. And so when she heals from what caused her to be so ready to release anger, to ready to fight, to defend, then she's gonna respond differently, you know? And so I'm talking to her. I'm calling her and talking to her about that. Girl, you got to heal because you can't be coming in, she'll come. She'll come. She'll get, she'll come. The right person call her. She's coming. And so I got to see what's this trigger? We got to figure out. We got to heal, guys, because we can't operate like that in a new version of ourselves. We can't just hear something and react, and then we regret our reaction afterwards. Man, that reaction set me back 5 years, and I made all this progress. Here I am. I was making all this progress, and I got triggered because somebody said some words, or somebody reacted the way that they reacted, or I was in an environment that I knew was no good for me. You're gonna know that you're healed when you respond differently. That's you're gonna know that you're healed when that person can come around you and you won't feel like, you don't feel angry, you don't feel overstimulated, you don't feel your heart isn't racing, you're not tense, you're not angry, you're not all those things that they normally would have triggered. You can have a conversation about what you've been through, and it doesn't cause you tears of hurt. It doesn't cause you to want to or to relive those happenings or whatever. That's how you know you're healed. You can have that conversation with somebody that's been through it, and you're not crying for you. If you do shed a tear or two, you crying because you know what they've been through, you know what they're going through. But you are healed and you can help them. And so I think some common triggers, and I wrote this down, some common triggers that I myself and others that I know, that I'm familiar with. Some common triggers are feeling ignored or dismissed, tone of voice or certain words. So um, when certain when people talk to me a certain way, I instantly defense. When people say, and I was told one time something so negative, and I'm not gonna repeat what it was, but it had to do with the amount of kids that I had. And so that is something that I'm still like, that is still traumatic for me. And not that I care what anybody thinks about how many kids I have, because I gave birth to seven of the most amazing people that walk this earth. And so I'm not self-conscious about that. I'm not like, oh, I don't want nobody to know what I got some kids. Like, I don't care. But the comment that was made to me was so negative that if somebody just so much as mentioned like, oh well, you got all those kids, or I'm instantly in defense mode. What do you mean? What are you trying to say? Like, what are you talking about? When it come to my kids, don't let it come to my kids. Because that is a trigger, okay? um, so it's like when somebody says something about the amount of, even though they might not mean any harm, and this actually just happened to me very recently, where somebody just mentioned like, okay, it's something just concerning kids and how much kids, well, I'm gonna tell you about this. So this girl was like, um so I was at work. I was at work, and in the area that I was in, it smelled like weed. And so um two other girls were standing by me, and I was like, it's so strong because I don't smoke. Like I don't like the smell of weed. I don't knock anybody that smokes. Don't get me wrong. But one girl that she was coming by, and I said, "Hey, come here." And I was like, "Do you, when you walk by?" She was like, "Yeah, I did." I didn't even finish the sentence. She was like, "Yeah, I did. I smell weed." And I was like, "You did?" She said, "Yeah." And she said, "But I automatically assumed that it was her." And she was talking about another young lady. And I was like, "Well, why did you assume that it was her?" And she was like, "She has 5 kids. I know for a fact that she smokes." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Why does that mean she smokes?" She said, "Well, all them kids, you gonna have to be on some kind of drugs." I said, I said, "Really?" She said, "Yeah. Like, who has that much kids and is in their right mind and is not crazy?" And I was like, "Well, I have." I told her how much kids I had, and she was like, "I know you could use a blunt." I was like, "Wow." And so I instantly I wanted to be offended. I wanted to be offended because what? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. If you have a lot of kids, you gotta be smoking to be in your right mind. No. That is so, I've never heard anything like that. Um, but her saying that didn't say anything about the young lady that she was talking about, and it didn't say anything about me. It said a lot about her and where, like, cause who says stuff like that? Um, Very sweet girl. And so, um, I had to take that time. I had to take a moment where I was aware of myself, and I said, you know what? Because I know that that's not true. I'm not going to be defensive. I'm not going, because a couple of days prior, I had I somebody had said something about and harmless, and I instantly just was like, what? And so when because I'm capable of expressing my thoughts and my feelings now, because I was at a point where I didn't know how to, I went back to that person and I told them how they made me feel, and the person, because that person cared about my feelings and me, um their response wasn't defensive, it was reassuring. And we talked about that last season, about how you want to surround yourself with people that care about and love you. So that way, when people do say things that trigger you, when people do say things that may make you uncomfortable, instead of them arguing with you about your feelings, they're they're offering you that reassurance that that's not my intentions weren't to make you feel XYZ, and apologize. I didn't mean to make you feel like that. I do apologize. This is what I meant. And so that moment took me back, and it happened right before, that the in the encounter with the young lady, where I was able to take a step back, and I was able to say, you know what, she's not she doesn't she didn't know, she didn't even know how much kids that she didn't even know how much kids I had, and she knows that I don't smoke. So I'm pretty sure that she knows that her comment was untrue. And so and it was good. It was good. I have no hard feelings towards her. She's still a sweet girl. Um I didn't want to, I didn't feel a desire in my heart to check her or to make her feel like, because if you know me, you know how, you know how I can be. Because, no, boy. Don't play, don't play with me, okay? Because I'm nice. I'm a very nice person. But so if somebody like, I am going to defend myself and my feelings. I'm gonna just say, yeah, we're gonna keep moving, okay? Let's keep on going. Let's keep on going. And so, um, a part of responding, a part of your, yeah, what am I trying to say? A part of healing is, you self-reflecting, and you seeing, you analyzing yourself and saying, what triggers me? And triggers are not unhealthy, guys. It pinpoints where healing needs to take place, what you need to heal from. Because sometimes we get so lost, like, okay, I don't know what I need to heal from. I'm fine. I'm good, But when you see what triggers you, you take you take a moment and you say, you know what? I shouldn't have acted like that because of that. What is it that caused me to feel like I needed to defend myself in that moment against somebody that normally means well? What what about that situation made me feel uncomfortable? What about this environment makes me feel uncomfortable? Why does it make me feel uncomfortable? And so asking those questions to yourself and taking out that journal. Let's get the journal out. Let's get the journal out. Getting that journal out and actually, taking that time for yourself and, like I said, self reflecting, creating those boundaries where we're not allowed, just because you're healing, that does not mean accept anything. Just to say, oh, I'm not triggered anymore. No, that also means creating boundaries. I have to make, I have to create boundaries. Um, Sometimes the things that trigger us cause us to shut down, lash out, or just like feel instantly defensive. Like I said, for myself, I instantly felt like when somebody said what they said about um, having a lot of children. What is a lot of children? Having the amount of children that I have, or um or more, just having multiple kids. It don't matter if it's two. Sometimes people say two kids is a lot. Um why did I feel like I needed to be defensive? And it took me back to the moment where that trigger was created. And so healing from triggers sometimes looks like operating in forgiveness. Operating in forgiveness. Sometimes, again, like I said in last season, sometimes you're gonna have to forgive people that are not sorry. You're gonna have to forgive people that um cannot take accountability for their actions. You're going to have to forgive people that shift the blame. Tell you it was your fault. That wasn't my fault. It was your fault that I did that to you. It was somebody else's fault that I did that to you. It was not my fault. I didn't mean to do that to you. I ain't sorry, but it ain't my fault. No. Um, and sometimes some people are triggered by not having control. So some people are control freaks. I learned in therapy that I used to like to be in control of things. When my therapist gave me a sheet of she would give me homework, and the homework would be um things that the homework was things that you can control, things that you have a little bit of control of, or things that are out of your control. And y'all, I wanted to cram everything in the circle that said things that were in my control, because I was trying to figure out how I could control everything. And I realized in that moment that when I didn't have control of a situation, I would lash out. I would get upset, or I would shut down, or I would just be like, or I would flee. I would go. I would say, you know what? I ain't got control of the situation no more. I won't be a part of it. If I can't be in charge, if I can't say how this goes, if I can't call the shots, I'm out. And it wasn't on a like an aggressive level. It was more on a level that like I'm more of a softer person. I'm not really much of an aggressive person. I can be, but for the most part um I want to have a say in what the outcome of a situation is. But when I learn to allow others to lead, when I say when I learn to allow others to, to trust others to be in control, which one, I do not want anybody, I myself, as a dominant female, I cannot allow just anybody to lead me. And I had to realize that, because that helped with relationships. I cannot be led by somebody that is softer than me. Like I said, I am a very dominant. I have a very dominant personality. I'm a very dominant female, and at the end of the day, it's nothing wrong with that, because I do know how to be soft. I do know how to stand down, but I need someone that too is dominant. Someone that does have a strong personality, somebody that's not going to allow me to run over them. And I had to realize that. I had to realize that I do like to be in control, but I need the only person that I will allow to lead me, the only person that I will stand down to, is somebody that I know that is capable of making great decisions, somebody that is capable um of leading me right, And so some people don't mind, some people are dominant and don't mind a guy that is not dominant. That's not me. And so um I had to, just self-awareness, y'all. It's important. That's you taking a look in the mirror, looking at yourself and seeing who you are. That is what's going to help you operate in healthy relationships. That's going to help you um to if for the ladies, that's going to help you to be submissive, to be soft, to be able to be vulnerable in front of somebody, with others. It's just like and how to make new friends, and so forth and so on. And so um yeah, I like this episode. um Yeah, your triggers are not a weakness. They're signals. Their signals is when you see that trigger, when you see yourself lashing out, that's a sign. Hey, right here. This is it right here. This whatever made you act the way you acted just now, that's where you need to heal at. They show you where healing is needed, those triggers. Um and those triggers, it brings awareness, which that awareness is a tool that you need to grow. And so your triggers are pointing you to something that needs your attention. And so while you are on your action plan, um, sometimes, like I said, an environment can trigger you. A friend group can trigger you. Um, and triggers are not just like the way you act. Sometimes it's the things you do. It's no way you used to smoke like a chimney and used to hang around people that smoke like a chimney, and you stop smoking because you stopped hanging around those people, and you want to go back around and they smoking out the car, windows up, they fogging it out, they got it going on, they passing it around. And every time it gets to you, you got to say, no, I'm good. Nobody in that circle is, they used to you being that way. That's just how you are. That's how you used to be when you think you better than the blunt now. You know? Here, just hit it one more time. But you went through all of this so that you could stop smoking. You went through all of this so that you could stop drinking. You went through all of this so that you could stop lying, so you could stop gossiping, so that you could stop whatever it is that you were doing, so that you could stop complaining about everything. If you stop hanging around those people that complain so much, then that can help you to stop complaining. Sometimes the trigger just be something silly. The trigger be something, just something you just want to stop doing. I want to stop eating bad. I'm about to start hanging out with some people that eat good. I'm gonna stop hanging out with them people that every time I look, we at the buffet. That's what they do. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with people that do what they do. If it's working for them, cool. But if it ain't working for you no more, what do you need to do? The action plan. You gotta come up with a trigger action plan. How am I going to heal from these things that trigger me? That way, um, that way, when I'm in certain rooms with people that are familiar by default because they're family, mm, I don't feel, I'm not triggered by that abusive uncle in the room. I don't feel like I want to lash out. My face ain't balled up. I'm not tense. I'm not feeling like I'm about to take somebody's head off because I'm in the same room as the people that made me feel small over and over and over again. The people that didn't show up for me. I'm not triggered in this room with them. And so, as we take the time to heal and we start working on our journey and our action plan, things are going to come up that are going to trigger us. And so I encourage you to empty the clip. I encourage you to heal from those things that trigger you. I encourage you to take those unhealthy things out and fill the clip with positive things. Fill the clip with things that where you respond different. So pulling the trigger causes a response. Let's do a little thing. So I'm gonna trigger. This bottle is full of water. And if I squeeze it, water's gonna come out. But I'm thirsty, y'all. I'm thirsty. As I'm emptying the bottle, I can squeeze the bottle all I want. But I gotta do too much for water to come out because I'm emptying it. The bottle is getting empty. I don't want to pour this water out because we gotta buy some more water, y'all. So I'm not gonna pour it out. But if this bottle was empty, I could squeeze it all I want. Nothing's gonna come out because nothing's in it. But what if I squeeze it and I put something that I really love in it? I put some wine in it. Put a little wine in the water bottle. Then something that I want to come out is gonna come out. You know? And the value, if I put some wine in it, this bottle gonna go up. The price gonna go up. The price gonna go up. If this bottle was filled with something else, with some wine, the price would have been different. What's coming out of it is more valuable. Ooh, stop. Stop. That's what Zana be doing. Zana and Money. Jahara does it too, y'all. She be like, if I put something more valuable in this bottle and I squeeze it, something more valuable is gonna come out. I ain't gonna wanna waste that. We ain't wasting that. Hold on now. Cheers. I encourage you to fill yourself with something more valuable. Up the price, up the value. You are worth so much more than you've been settling for. We all are. God has been so good. He brought us this far to the point where we have the opportunity to create an action plan. Guys, this week, I lost a lot of us that are in this community because a lot of you I know lost a childhood friend. And so when I got on any of my social media, I saw pictures of her and I saw positive things about her because of the way that she lived her life. When I say I could go forever without seeing her, and when I saw her, it was always love. It was always just, I'm proud of you. You know, I see you. I know we don't talk like that. But we grew up together knowing each other. And so, I know we ain't close as it, but I love you. And so, as she was so full of love, and her life came to an end this week. In her, in her passing, with people saying all the good things that they said about her and what that they're saying about her, I realized that it's so important to be good to people, to be full of love, to be full of something good, something positive. Because like I said, everybody said nothing but amazing things about her. 'Cause she was an amazing person. When I say amazing, like genuine it was natural that she was genuine. She no fake, nothing fake about her. It doesn't matter who it is, what it is. It's that very very sweet girl. And so when you realize how short life is and how these days are not promised, you want to be remembered in a healthy sense. I feel like anybody that may have even had a negative thought about her, I can't see anybody having one. They had to be making it up. Because when I say like the sweetest girl ever, um, but she's remembered in such a positive light. She's remembered with love, loyalty, um, just genuine, real person. Just a good soul. And so when you realize that, you realize that you just wanna be, you wanna leave behind good memories, good thoughts, leave a good feeling in people's heart. And I don't want to get into that, but yeah, you wanna take those triggers and use them as ammunition to go further, to move forward, to get to the next step on your action plan. To be able to set those boundaries, to be aware of what it is that 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 caused you to get to where you are, to react the way you do, and so forth and so on. Excuse me. I love you guys with my whole heart. I am going on, and I have to get off now. Yeah. What's your triggers? What are some things that you either still need to heal from? Um, what are boundaries that you need to set? Um, what are things that you already did heal from? What were things that did trigger you? Um, what are environments that you know no longer serve you? What were environments that are there that you had to remove yourself from? Who did you have to leave behind? I love you guys with my whole heart. I hope that this week, um, I hope that this week is easy for you. I hope that this week brings you the joy and the love that you need, to move forward. I pray that the action plan, is getting written, the timeline is being, implemented, and I pray that you know that, God is still good in all things. Yeah, love you guys with my whole heart. Y'all have a good one. Um, there are gonna be notes at the end of this episode, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Thursday's episode, notes are gonna be on the website, so go ahead, take a look at that at thejourneypodcast.life. Yeah, I love y'all. Have a good one. I'll see you on Thursday. Later.